Good morning.
Oh, hello.
How are you doing?
Good. Sunday. And it's
Sunday?
freezing. That's why I'm wearing a
is.
scarf.
It's all the way down to 71 degrees in our house without any help.
It's fall.
Yeah.
Fall time.
We had pancake breakfast.
I have some coffee. You have some tea.
Got some tea. I put some of your honey lemonade in there, so it's going to be amazing.
Yes. We are ready for an adventure.
Yeah.
Another adventure.
We are?
Yeah.
This chapter?
This
Oh,
chapter.
okay. I thought there was some secret
no.
adventure that was
No.
happening, but no.
No.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I'm feeling good. We're into it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then should we just jump right in?
I unless you want to talk about other things.
No, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Juan's ready. Okay. So after the long chapter on the Hogwarts Express, everyone should turn to page 113, The Sorting Hat. And today's lesson is called Ghostly Categories. I'll let you cook that one around in your head. The chapter starts with Hagrid handing over the first years to Professor McGonagall, who is readying them to join their respective school houses. After some ghostly introductions, the first years are paraded in front of the school to their sorting ceremony. Each student is to wear the sorting hat, which will measure their fit for each of the four houses and announce the best match. Harry is placed into Gryffindor along with Ron, Hermione, and Neville. Amidst the stress of sorting, Harry first lays eyes on Professor Albus Dumbledore and Professor Severus Snape, the latter of which locks eyes with him as a bolt of pain lashes Harry's forehead. After settling in for his first night of sleep in the Gryffindor Tower, Harry experiences some bizarre dreams.
Nice. Ghostly
categories. Yeah. That's our lesson for the day.
Well, we do have some ghosts in here.
We do.
And some sorting. Okay, so sorting. So much effort goes into sorting. My goodness. I wrote that in my notes. #2real. Like, that's basically life.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like, it's so quick. It's the first thing they do. But it's permanent their whole time.
And McGonagall's like, it's the most important thing that we do. Let's do it right away, and let's do this very...
Sort them up.
But the sorting itself... So, okay, we have this enchanted hat that supposedly... Well, the four founders... In the history of the sorting hat, the four founders enchanted it. And... But what's interesting is that there's this term called hat stall, which is... if it takes longer than 5 minutes to figure out.
Really?
Yeah. J.K. Rowling wrote it. It's on Pottermore. There's an excerpt.
Oh, my.
So the part where Harry is like...
Then what, they
nervous.
flip coin?
The part where Harry's nervous about like, oh, well, what if it like... It's like, oh, you made a mistake or it takes too long. So it's interesting because like 5 minutes seems like too long of a deliberation to be able to sort you. It's like this thing that's supposed to be like easy to like I know who you are, or you have some sort of attribute or quality that stands out above the rest, so I can put you in one of these four places. Right. I don't know. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I think that gets to why I picked the title, which is these categories are old.
Yeah.
Have they ever been revisited? Doesn't seem like it.
No.
It's the four founders,
and it's
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, all the students sorted into four groups.
Yep.
The same four groups with the same, apparently, characteristics. And the ghosts themselves, the Fat Friar, is like, oh, yeah, Hufflepuff.
Yep.
And Nick is like, oh, Gryffindor. They still haven't let it go, even in death, for 400 years. They're like, I'm still a Gryffindor, and he's still a Hufflepuff. And that's that.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that there's like two articles on Pottermore. One was the one I was referencing, the hat stall one, but then there's also the one called the sorting hat. And the way that it's written about is that it's just preferences. It's not like you are brave, you are loyal, even though it often plays out that way in the ways that people talk about being a Gryffindor, being a Hufflepuff.
Right.
So part of, so in the Hatstall article, it said that Hermione and Neville are close to being Hatstalls, but they aren't. They're not more than 5 minutes.
Because Hermione with Ravenclaw and Neville possibly with Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so the part about Neville was that the Hat wanted to put Neville in Gryffindor, and Neville was like intimidated by that and requested to be in Hufflepuff.
And the Hat said
in their
no.
little conversation, and the Hat was just like, "Nah."
That's interesting, given some of what we know in the Chamber of Secrets. But okay, and this is written by J.K. Rowling. No, very interesting.
And also, so 2 Hatstalls.
No, I know better than the SAT.
That we do know. Miss Minerva McGonagall was a Hatstall.
Was she also Ravenclaw?
Ravenclaw and Gryffindor. And Mr.
Dumbledore?
No, not.
Because I could see him being a Slytherin Gryffindor.
Ooh.
Hatstall.
Ooh. Slytherin Gryffindor. Do you have another guess?
It is a Slytherin Gryffindor? Snape.
Mm-mm.
Sirius Black.
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
Peter Pettigrew.
Aha.
Which leads me to, I learned all sorts of things on Pottermore this morning.
Well done. Good prep.
I'll read this little short excerpt. So, the Sorting Hat, which is infamously stubborn, still refuses to accept that its decision in the case of the latter, meaning Pettigrew, may have been erroneous, citing the manner in which Pettigrew died as dubious evidence. So, the Sorting Hat is stubborn and refuses to
as test makers are.
Yeah, just like, because if you think about it, like, obviously people are complicated. We've talked about, like, we've talked about in a very old episode on WizardPhD, there's no transferring of houses. There's no switches, like, midway through. It's, this is your house, and, like, you stick with it, and that's
sort
it.
too soon.
It's the literally first thing that they do.
Well, the problem fundamentally for me with this type of sorting is that when you sort people based on limited evidence or some type of magical evidence, it's often the Hat gets to dismiss the ones that it's wrong about, but it's also often prescriptive. Because you've been placed in Gryffindor, now you will believe you are more brave, and therefore you're going to do brave things. You know, and that's when we get to it, and it's a very, very long way away. Snape is the ultimate question for me. He's the ultimate, and it's not even a question. He becomes the ultimate counterpoint to sorting. Like you blew it. You ruined this person's life, possibly. Like in many, many ways, you've ruined it. And it's true probably for a bunch of unnamed characters, and even possibly some of our named characters. Maybe Draco, right? We know he's a complex person. A lot of complex people are in Slytherin, but they are going to be mixed up in stuff because that's the reputation. And so, you know.
I was going to push back a little bit on the ruined his life thing, because I mean, even this weekend we had a conversation along the lines of like tracking and encouragement and things that I have been encouraged to do in school and like where that led me, and then what happens when I'm like, actually, I want to pursue other things and not just be seen as a math person, like, and how difficult that actually is, and then coming to peace with it, I guess. So like on the one hand, like maybe ruined, maybe not. Maybe it just allows certain people, because basically our conversation led to like letting people basically, I don't know, thrive with the talents that they have. Right. And part of the problem is that a lot of talents that people have, or just like internal genius that people have, gifts that people have, aren't necessarily things that are easily labeled or boxed or fit within the structures of society.
Right.
So that's what makes it challenging.
Right. Here's a follow-up for you. When we were at Comic-Con this year, and we went to the Harry Potter...
Psychology
we went to a couple, but not the Wizards Unite, the Psych one, one of the common things that's apparently going around is this idea of like being a rising.
Yes.
So like each of the people were like, in their introduction, it was like, oh, share what house you're in. So they're like, oh, I'm a Gryffindor, Slytherin rising. And it's that type of language is really interesting because it suggests change. It suggests that actually people, despite their identities with these houses, even in our Muggle world, question them pretty hard, or like don't see it as sordid as this makes it out to be.
Well, there's that controversy. Well, it's not really a controversy. There's like the new Wizarding World app, and so you could switch or connect your Pottermore account.
Right.
And when they first introduced the app where you can set up your wizarding passport and all that, some people were tweeting at me because they were like, hey, like, I'm in a different house now. Like, what do I
Transfer
do?
student.
Identity crisis. Yeah, identity crisis. And so that was like super interesting. Actually, I think Pokepotter, that was like one of the, because I think he was originally Ravenclaw and then like did the wizarding passport and it was like, you're Hufflepuff. And he was like, wait, what?
My identity is shaken.
So yeah, it's really interesting. And so speaking of this new Wizarding World account stuff, they teased at having a new sorting hat ceremony, which may be interesting because maybe they will like incorporate some sort of, something like that.
Well, I think even the old ones at times, maybe the unofficial ones actually were like percent.
Yeah.
You just got like a plurality of Gryffindor, so you're Gryffindor, but you weren't even, you had everyone was like 20% or higher or something.
I mean, it's interesting if you think of other things like astrological signs and like making sense of that. There's like the primary or like the, I don't know, like the dominant, and then there's like also the secondary, so like a sun and a moon, or like there's aspects to other structures that are like, oh, you're not wholly this thing. Of course, you have like some nuance or some like other aspects that come out depending on, I don't know, whatever.
Right.
So I don't know. It is interesting. I think that's kind of, it's probably intentional of like, this school is very, very old and like the founders are literally foundational to the ways that we see Hogwarts and like House Pride. And
they've written the Constitution.
They are,
and a lot of people aren't going to question it at all.
Yeah.
Right. It's a monument. The Sorting Hat is a monument. Don't question it.
Yep.
Okay, that's a good amount on sorting. What else happens? A couple other important things. Dumbledore and Harry, Snape and Harry. So, my favorite quote was Harry is talking to Percy and talking about Dumbledore. Mad, said Percy airily. He's a genius, best wizard in the world. But he is a bit mad, yes. And I just love that. I mean, it's like you get this sensibility of who Percy is right away. Like he kind of admires him, but there's definitely laced with some fear. And he's definitely not going to be the only person who probably thinks about Dumbledore that way because they don't understand him. And people generally fear things they don't understand and people they don't understand. Yeah. And then Snape, I guess, is secondary because you don't actually get to meet him, but we have this weird moment with Harry and the old forehead ache.
Brilliantly portrayed in the movie. Well, Alan Rickman.
Expelliarmus.
Yeah, I mean, Dumbledore is just like he's this great wizard, and we've heard so much about him, but then you meet him, and it's like, oh, it's just this goofy old man.
Yeah. I said to you as I was reading it, like this particular chapter has things that have stuck with me so much, and that is one of them. I didn't write it as my favorite quote for whatever reason, but when he's like, let me say a few words. Nitwit, oddment, tweak, blubber, or something, and it's like,
okay,
that's
cool.
So funny. Yeah. And then he just sits down. Yeah. And then they do the Hogwarts song and the school song, and he winds up conducting Fred and George, who are doing a funeral march.
Oh my gosh.
It's so funny.
Well, I
Oh
don't know.
my God.
We've joked before about like, I don't know, just being old and being weird.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, just let go of everything and be
Just
like,
like,
whoa,
whatever.
this is what I actually think. Yeah. Yeah.
So never change.
Right. And then we end with the scary dream.
We do, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely ominous, foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on here, you know? Because Harry's never had a pain, right? In the scar before? This is the first one, I think. I don't think I think because he's surprised. He's like,
right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
what the heck was that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The ghostly part of your title.
Yeah.
Is that strictly for the founders, or was there more to that?
Well, for me, it just has to do with categories that come from the past. And they automatically do, but
yeah.
the further back they come from,
Mm-hmm.
the more skeptical I am of them.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't revisited what it means to be a Ravenclaw in hundreds and hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
How old is Hogwarts? Thousands of years
very
old.
Yeah.
No. You know,
Yeah.
those anything that echoes from the past for that long, it gets this status. And there's nothing wrong with having a good status, except for when it causes people never to question it or tweak it or change it in any way.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, nobody made a better hat? What about a better hat?
It's Godric Gryffindor's old hat.
Oh,
You
okay.
can't replace
Yeah,
it.
that's right. Whoa. Ooh, we did it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, there is this is some of the separation to some extent of like the Muggle world and the magical world. There is this kind of hypothetical sense of like people in the past were theoretically and really stronger. Certain wizards and witches were the strongest that they were, and they're, you know, possibly Gryffindor was a better wizard than Dumbledore. We don't know, but like in the same caliber. So like, why question him, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Even though in the present, Dumbledore will get questioned, but it's you know, there's something about it. Like, it's in the past. Everyone remembers it. The parents that were witches and wizards were also sorted and like, oh, you know, look, I turned out okay, you know.
What do you think about ghosts living at Hogwarts?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. But it's a perfect metaphor for like that this place is haunted, even if there weren't ghosts. Like, it has memories, and you already, on your first moment in this space, those ghosts like just sorted you out and said, you are this, you are this. I'm so powerful. Yeah, I know who you are. You don't even know who you are. I know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was reading also on Pottermore about Peeves, the poltergeist, because there was a comment, another ghost was like, he's not really a ghost, you know? So, because Peeves has a physical form, but can also be invisible. And poltergeist actually, part of the legend or lore is that they like tend to haunt places with children or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of weird. German in origin, the word poltergeist, noisy ghost. But something interesting that I found, even though I'm sure...
Is this for the Wizards Unite fans?
This is Wizards Unite fans up here. So, let me see if I can find it. Of something in the game. All right. Several concerted efforts to remove Peeves from the castle have resulted in failure. The last and most disastrous was made in 1876, a billion years ago, by caretaker Rancorous Carp, who devised an elaborate trap baited with an assortment of weapons he believed would be irresistible to Peeves, and a vast enchanted bell jar reinforced by various containment charms, which he intended to drop over the poltergeist once he was in place. Not only did Peeves break easily through the giant bell jar, showering an entire corridor with broken glass, he also escaped the trap armed with several cutlasses, crossbows, and a butterflies miniature cannon. So, like, the glass actually does break because he has a physical form, but I was laughing because I was like, this is the actual foundable pairing.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how much we should scour Pottermore for all of our foundables.
Because I don't think all of them are necessarily like that. That one is clearly a story. I mean, unless there's a story with Seamus and a fire chicken. I don't know, you know, or like a Gryffindor student being trapped in a bubble of water. Like, so there's certain things, although that's like an elemental thing. The chicken keeps recurring. But like there might be certain ones that are actual.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that. I know you're thinking
Actual
about
Easter
some other
eggs.
theory stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff though.
I know.
Yeah. I'm ready. Do we have a question? I did not prepare a question. I guess we could just ask people what houses they're in, but that seems too common.
I mean, or what people think about like this idea of the rising. And because like my quote that I pulled out was that, and this is Harry talking in his head, and he's like, the hat seemed to be asking rather a lot. Harry didn't feel brave or quick-witted or any of it at the moment. If only the hat had mentioned a house for people who felt a bit queasy, that would have been the one for him. So like, I mean, I know they're 11, and I know that this is, not only are they 11 and having new experiences like all the time, but they're having this very, very intense experience where you have hundreds of people in the Great Hall watching them put a hat on their head and basically say, this person is brave, this person is quick-witted, this person is cunning, you know, like it's, my goodness. So I guess like what aspects of like the house qualities that I guess like, because there's actually also, I don't remember where I was looking at this. It was this idea, I was watching my INFJ channel and he was talking about Carl Jung and talking about like whether we actually can recognize ourselves or if we see ourselves, it's like the outsider, like internal sense of self. Like, like we might think that we're brave and other people be like, no, you're not, you know, so it's interesting. I mean, on the one hand, like having this like all-powerful hat just make the ultimate decision is the easiest way to go about it. And then the soft way to get around it is like, the hat will take your consideration or your thoughts into consideration, but like still veto you if you're Neville.
Can you imagine the field day that Rita Skeeter would have had if Harry Potter got placed in Slytherin?
Ooh. Yeah.
Dark Lord 2.
Rita.
Harry Potter, Dark Lord Rising.
Rita would have had a whole series. She would have created like a reality show or soap opera.
Yeah, she will. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Classic Rita. Yeah. So talk about the houses in the comments, I guess.
Tell us about your thoughts on the houses.
What do you think? Should we blow that up also with the Statute of Secrecy if you're playing Wizards Unite and on my team? Like, blow it up. No, I'm like reforming the entire wizarding world. People are gonna come for me. You're ruining it.
Just don't touch our sacred things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Good fun. Okay. Until next time. Wand's ready.
Ready.